robust urban garlic flavor.
Ladies and gentlemen, I have something very stupid for you today. DSP is crashing out over Asmongold, and he may imply that he is a secret Wings Detractor lover, so let's get into it.
Well, complete nonsense. Dark Owls, whatever your name is, sorry, I don't know how to pronounce it, says, what do you have to say about Asmongold's criticisms of you earlier today? I don't know anything about them. I don't watch Asmongold. I don't know what he said, to be honest. I don't particularly care.
This is Phil only a mere 2 days later. He is a man who completely does not care about whatever Asmongold says about him.
Earlier today we were playing Pokemon. And we were just chatting and chilling while I was playing Pokemon. I have no clue what he could have criticized.
It wasn't about Pokemon, you idiot. It was about the big drama the week prior where you told your fans that you were turning off moral support because they didn't give you a certain amount of subs in 3 days. Yeah, you were paywalling a free chat feature on Kick, Phil. Really scummy.
The stream was actually incredibly well supported. I wasn't even asking for contributions or anything because it was so well supported. So I have no idea what he could have criticized, nor do I give. Honestly, you know, he can say whatever he wants. Good, more power to him. He's definitely one of those guys that reacts all the time to content. So, I don't know. Here's the question. Was he watching my content and reacting to it, or was he watching Detractor content?
Oh, here's Phil moving the goalposts. Let me tell you, 95% of the stuff that comes out on Phil are just unedited clips. And yet Phil says, oh, they're always taken out of context. But then you have a 20-minute meltdown where Phil yells at his chat for money. Yeah, out of context, huh? Like he really thinks his fans will believe if something happens on his stream 20% of the time every day that it's not something that DSP is about. Dude, of course it is. You were totally all about the raging and the eBegging and the guilt tripping and the panhandling and the lying and the scamming.
Because if he's watching Detractor content, he's not watching my content. He's watching one-sided, skewed, very focused on negative content that's not representative of me.
Yeah, you see, what really is representative of Phil is the meandering content where he tells you repeatedly about his schedule for 30 minutes, and then tells you that he needs money. And then for 3 hours, he plays video games where he stares at the screen and really doesn't say much, and during the interims, he begs you for money. But he says, oh, those interims are not what I'm about, except they totally are because it's a pattern that happens every day, Phil. You are so full of baloney. You see, I'm only a part-time eBeggar on my streams. So that means I'm not an eBeggar. No, Phil, you're a full-time eBeggar.
Case in point, right now, okay, I can watch Wings of Redemption's Detractors, and I can watch some of what he does raw, and you can see a little bit of a difference between it, okay? When you just watch his Detractor content, no exaggeration, they only show him dying a bunch of times, playing Battlefield, and raging every time. In reality, that's not what happens. He dies, but he doesn't always rage. He only rages at times when he gets like surprised or he's genuinely shocked that he died in that way. It's not every death, but of course the Detractor content makes it look like that.
Dude, if you've ever watched Wings Detractor content, you know it's the most boring slop ever that's pieced together to try and get 10 plus minutes. And it's Wings saying something, then he's saying something else. Maybe there's some rage there, but it's mostly him trying to be as boring as possible so the Detractors don't have long segments they can clip like Phil has on him every single day. The way Phil talks about Wings clips is like almost that he's an expert. Maybe part of his hobby, instead of playing Champions, is watching Wings Detractor videos. When Wings insulted him or ever, he watched it and then it led him down a rabbit hole where he's now watching hundreds of Detractor videos a day on him.
And the Detractor content will take focused moments of things that happen over a 2, 3, 4 hour stream and only show the ones that may be twisted as negative.
Deathmatch. This operation is under executive surveillance.
So fast, dude.
Got eyes on Echo.
Hostile UAV established above.
I don't get it. Where's the non-stop guilt tripping and begging for money and ranting about random stuff and fast food? Phil, yeah.
Sometimes it's out of context. It only shows half a conversation. So, knowing what they do to him, you can only assume it's probably exactly what they do to me. whatever.
It's not, because Wings is nowhere near as long-winded as you are, so while a clipper can take a whole meltdown that occurs from anywhere from 5 to 40 minutes, Wings clips are about him sucking at the game, so they're going to be highlights. It's like a reel, while yours is half of a film.
The way I see Detractor content, it's a way to at least get a quick, digestible idea of how the public is perceiving someone at any given time and what they're criticizing you for.
Not really, because it's just a few people compared to the vast spectrum that is the public. Detractor content is mainly pointing out the flaws of the streamer or something unacceptable that they've done. So what you're really getting is a picture of how, oh, look at him, how could he do this, sort of thing. And that's why you don't feed the trolls, because if you feed them and give them a buffet like Philip Paul Burnell, you are gonna be hurting for a long time.
With Wings right now, they're criticizing him because basically he's not on Lolcow Live anymore. He keeps insisting he's not going to go back, but his streams aren't doing very well. His streams are making anywhere between $40 to $100 each, and that's it.
Phil, every lolcow can't be a successful eBeggar like you are. He's on tough times.
And he's complaining he's not making a lot of money. And everyone's like, you're going to go back, you're going to go back. He's like, well, I don't want to, right?
I mean, I don't blame him for that. The entire show has devolved into, let's make Boogie look as idiotic as possible and make him do the dumbest things as possible. Like some sort of sideshow attraction, which is actually what I initially thought the show was going to be. Wings really was the star of the show because everybody else they've had on is just really uninteresting or one note.
So that's one of the things. And of course, him eating on the streams constantly, rubbing his face constantly. There's a few things that they got him for. That's what they have issue with him, okay? And of course, I guess a lot of people also say that he lies about a lot of stuff, like...
I like how Phil talks about Wings rubbing his face and then the exact same time he does it. Like, come on. Phil, we could say the same thing about you. You pick your ears, you pick your nose on stream. It's disgusting. Touching his face, I don't really have a huge issue with, but with Phil, he like strokes his mustache. So I'm like, what's going on here? It's distracting, Phil. You see, both Wings and DSP don't know how to stream well and be entertaining. Well, I think Wings could. He just really has diminished himself into the strategy of being as boring as possible so his trolls don't have anything to clip. And then nobody supports him because they're not entertained. Yet the trolls are still clipping everything regardless.
It's been established that things have happened, and then he later on will try to say it in another way that, oh, it didn't happen that way, and then hope that people forgot or something.
Like what you did this exact same week when you banned moral support and then had to pretend that you didn't do any of that and that you didn't rage about it. Come on, Phil. You were more like Wings than you let on. And you're arguably a lot worse because you extract way more money out of your fans than he can. Yet Wings has borne the brunt of much worse trolling than Darkside Phil ever has.
Again, I don't know because I don't know a lot about the guy, so I can't confirm or deny that, but that seems to be a running shtick of the Detractor content for him. So here's the thing. Knowing how that is with him, I can only imagine the stuff that's said about me.
WWE champions, non-stop eBegging, your wife is fat, your wife is divorced from you, you should go get a job, stuff like that. Also lying, hypnosis, snorting, being really boring. 95% of your audience is there to clip you. If only iced coffee and the other whales left, you would be done for. Your whales having numerous sock accounts, Darich, Jade, pathetically eating fast food. The list just goes on and on and on.
There's probably things that are brought up constantly that are from the past that don't apply to today anymore. There's probably things that are taken completely out of context. Here's an example. Yesterday, on the first stream, I was in a bad mood. I will openly admit to all of you, for whatever reason, I was in a bad mood, okay?
He is in a bad mood more often than not. Usually it's about not getting enough money, but it's also trolling and the situation where somebody talks smack about him or calls him out on his eBegging, like in this case.
So I kind of got argumentative with the audience. I kind of, at the end of a stream, I was banning people. I was being stupid. between streams, okay, I had a change of heart. I said, you know what? I got to stop being a grumpy old man. I got to be more open, be more nice to the audience that's here with me every day. So I went back, I unbanned some people. I actually added the ability to do the text and moral support messages. And I started being nice again. And then people actually appreciated that on stream, and we had a really good night. When originally I felt like we were going to probably have a really bad night unless I changed my bad attitude. So I did change my attitude, and we had a really good night last night, right?
Yeah, so what happened on his first Sunday stream, he did not get any kick support whatsoever. So he was basically forced to bring back kick messages. Now, some people are telling me that kick support got into contact with Phil and told him he had to bring it back or he'd be demonetized, but who really knows?
Now, how many detractors made that content and explained that thoroughly and actually outlined it how it really happened? I'm sure every video, correct? Every video made about me said that, right?
Phil, nobody presents it in the La La Land imagination nonsense you have where you are the hero of the story. We see it how we see it, and that's entirely different from the way you process things. You are so unaware that you could be a complete jerk to somebody and have no idea, and they get shocked when you get pushback. That's how out of it you are. You are out of this world in terms of awkwardness and just not picking up social cues whatsoever.
There you go. So, yeah, that's what I mean. So when you're only watching the detractors, you're only going to get half the story.
So you ranting and raging and verbally abusing your chat constantly is okay. You never hold yourself accountable for your actions because you don't see what you're doing as wrong. It is not right to beg for your audience to give you money. It is not right for you to verbally abuse your audience. It is not right to rage and whine and complain when you don't get enough money. But Phil lets it slip that you're getting half the story. That's actually very generous from him, because he usually says it's all nonsense. Now he's saying he's just being misrepresented, even though the clips have gone the way of being half an hour plus long, demonstrating that Phil can't keep it together and can't run a positive and meaningful streaming environment for people.
I'm sure that Asmongold reacted to a toxic story about me. I don't care. Let him react as much as he wants. If ever he wants to actually come watch my real content, not the detractor content, he's welcome. I don't think he ever will. Because the thing is, it's not digestible. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is not digestible content. This is a 2-hour hangout session with my audience. He's not going to sit here and watch that. He wants to just see the clips, the snippets. So he's only going to see the bad things. That's what people clip and make snippets of.
Ooh, Phil doesn't realize that, but it makes him look really bad because he's acknowledging here, at least partially, that there are bad stuff that happens on his stream, stuff he shouldn't be doing. But guess what? There's clips that show up of him every single day. There are channels that post numerous videos every single day. So Phil is partially letting it slip that his behavior is not acceptable on a daily basis. You can have a bad day, but every day is a bad day for Phil. It's give me $150 or I'm gonna find something to whine and cry about. And that is the issue with you, Phil. Yet you don't realize it or don't want to realize it. And then there's another partial admission in that his content is not good. Now obviously no streamer is going to react to a 4 to 5 hour live stream in one sitting, but here Phil is giving us a glimpse in that he knows that his gameplay segments are not the stuff that people on YouTube are gonna watch, because he knows it's not digestible. He knows there's a lot of meandering and rambling and him just staring angrily at the screen without saying anything, and that's why Phil's views are in the toilet. But he insists upon keeping his gameplay up as parts instead of just leaving the live stream up, because he's like, oh, this accumulates, so if it gets him an extra $1,000 a month. He's like, oh, that's free money for me because I was going to private the live stream anyway. Nothing he does is intuitive, and it just shows you he got lucky because he is just resting on his laurels and relying on his few whales to keep him afloat. He's never going to grow because he lacks the capacity to understand what people want. He just thinks whatever he does, regardless of the effort, is golden when it's obviously not.
So there you go. See, I'm aware of that. That's why when I watch the wing stuff, I'm like, okay, I gotta take everything I see here with a grain of salt. I gotta understand this is not representative of the full story. This is one side. Now, some of it may be true, some of it might not be true, but I know that. I go through it. So I know all about it. Asmongold probably is just watching it and just reacting honestly to detract negative things said.
I love how Phil assumes Asmongold must be some kind of idiot because he said negative things about Phil from watching videos about him. Whereas if he said something positive about Phil and defended him, he would be a genius in Phil's eyes. That's how stupid Phil is. His perception of people is based entirely upon how they react to him, not how they treat other people besides him, not what they say, not what they think, not what they do, but how they are in relation to Phil. That's the only thing that matters. If EDP445 said Phil was awesome and that he doesn't deserve the hate that he gets, DSP would think he would be the best guy in the world. That's how Phil stumbled into the hornet's nest that was Kino Casino, because they were saying mildly neutral things about him and then they buttered him up and DSP fell hook, line, and sinker for all of it like the idiot he is.
I'm not going to hold it against him, but at the same time, I do feel like there's a ton of these React YouTubers that are way bigger than the people who they react to. And they don't understand that when they react, that has negative consequences for the person that they're reacting to. That there might be people who maybe would check out that content, but now they won't because you saw a Detractor video that says they're an asshole or portrays them as an asshole. Now people think they're an asshole. Is that fair? Did you actually go watch the real content? So maybe you need to have an air of responsibility. Maybe you should actually be watching some of the real stuff to see what it's representative of.
I love how Phil throws a fit here because the vast majority of the stuff made about him are clips that are not edited, long segments where he rages, where he begs, where he lies, where he manipulates. And he's like, oh, that's not me because you haven't seen the 2 hours worth of me repeating the same thing over and over about my schedule and food I want to eat. I'm totally not a toxic idiot who abuses my chat. He is so delusional. He thinks that there's a rosy picture of him that nobody is seeing because his whales pay him money. And brother Phil, nobody is checking out your content. The YouTube algorithm has 18 years of data or whatever that says your content is bad. The stuff you produce is not the stuff people want to see. So while you may have viewership on your live streams, those are largely people that are there to just clip you. You don't really have many real fans. And even people giving you money or trolling you or think that it's so hilarious that you're a train wreck that they decide, hey, I'll throw Phil a few bucks to keep the train going.
If Asmongold was watching this stream right now, do you think that he'd be like, oh wow, what a... Probably not. But yesterday, if he saw me in a bad mood out of context on one particular stream, he probably would say, wow, that guy's a... And rightly so.
One, it's not out of context with you, Phil. It almost never is when it comes to the begging for money. Two, you raging at your audience, yelling at them, is not something that is acceptable on multiple streams in 1 week. You can't have that pattern where you say, oh, I'm a chill, positive, and meaningful streamer because I only rant at my fans 1 stream out of every 3 streams I do. No, people are gonna pick up the patterns and they're gonna figure out, hey, this guy's a jerk, he's boring, and he doesn't deserve my attention, my time, not even getting into the conversation of my money because, come on, this guy's a joke.
But that's not the big picture.
Yeah, I only sprinkle in my eBegging every 5 minutes. Therefore, it's not all of what I am. He's trying to disguise the gameplay filler as being the real part of his stream, where we all know it's about the money. Come on, Phil. Every daily rap, you have to emphasize the money and the goals.
I don't know. That's why I'm not into the full-on reacting to people. I'm just not. Like I said, like every once in a while I'll react to stuff, but I don't just want to be someone who's reacting and judging people like I'm some holier than thou person. I'm so much better than you. I know better than you. I'm going to judge you on everything you're doing because I know how people treat me.
No, he's just trying to garner sympathy and pity because he knows he can't do anything but portray himself as a victim. The real reason he won't do react content is because he's terrible at it. Remember DSP reacts? Well, if you did, it was hot garbage. He would totally love to react to Kino Casino, Keemstar, Boogie, Wings, Review Tech USA, whoever he feels has slighted him in the past, and just continuously dunk on them. The problem is he's just so awful at it that he can't do it, and he knows his whales are not really going to be interested in him watching somebody else and giving his take on it because they're like, I just want to hear Phil beg and moan and complain and just play some games and have a chill, positive, meaningful time, man.
Thermic Venry, Asmongold does not respond to requests for anything. Like, I would say it was probably a year or 2 years ago. I reached out to him when I heard he was talking about me and my content, and I tried to get an answer from him. He just never responded to a DM or nothing. He didn't care. So I don't think he's ever going to respond.
I like how Karen Burnell thinks that everybody is just so eager to text them. Come on, Phil, we've seen leaked DMs of you. You've had lines and lines of text of nonsense, just like your stupid ramblings on your podcast and your live streams. Ain't nobody got time for that.
So that's the other thing too. These people who are bigger than you, they'll react to you, but then if you try to respond to what they said or even try to get their attention, they ignore you. You know?
Phil, you are not the average streamer. Let's just put it that way. You know what you could do? You could react to some of their stuff and call them out on something. How about you do that, Phil?
It's very easy for someone like Moist Critical to call me out in his videos, but then I'm like, well, just have a conversation with me instead of talking. Why not have a conversation with me and understand me better? And maybe if you have a conversation with me and then you think I'm great, but at least have the conversation. Oh no, I don't do interviews, I don't do conversations. That's the response I get. Well then, don't talk. If you're gonna talk, now you are invested in that person and that content because you said negative things about them, your audience thinks negatively about them, now you gotta give them the time.
I'm just laughing in between takes about how absurd and nonsensical this is. He thinks Moist Critical is up late at night, 3 years later, still thinking about Phil every night. Come on. He doesn't have to give you anything. It's not a big deal, man. You are a public figure. You don't get to have access to somebody's audience of millions of people just because they said something about you. Maybe you should make a video debunking them. That would get you a ton of attention because people want to hear what you have to say in that regard because they're like, oh, Phil is clapping back? This might be funny. But you're stupid. You just leave it in your stupid live stream where nobody will ever see unless somebody clips it out. That's what you don't get. That's why you suck at being viral. People have taken your stuff and made it viral. What does that tell you? There is something interesting there. It's just in its totality, absolutely not. And you just can't handle being the internet's joke because let's be real, it's always you being an idiot and people laughing at you. And you don't understand why you aren't worshipped by everybody. That's your issue. You're not on the same plane of reality as everybody else.
Or else don't do it or it's irresponsible. Just saying, but you know, that's how they all are.
Yep, the guy who had a burst on May 1st and has continuously stayed on as the internet's cockroach, demanding that his audience give him money constantly, day after day, deserves to be treated with dignity here, folks.
Yeah, well, we'll react as much as we want because it's all fair game. It's allowed on YouTube. Yeah, but now you've hurt someone's reputation. Is it really fair? Or should you actually give them the chance to respond?
Like, let me tell you something. The reason he wanted an interview with Moist Critical was to be on Moist Critical's channel, preferably, because he thought, hey, Moist Critical has billions of people watching him daily. Surely there's 1 or 2 people that could be potential whales that I could siphon onto my live streams and them give me tons of money. That was the only reason. He didn't want to grow his audience. He never wants to grow his audience. He's completely lying when he says that. The only thing he wants is his positive positive supporters, i.e. whales who dump tons of money on him. That's why he has 200 people watching, but the chat doesn't move at all because people are either afraid to chat or they're just clipping him. Phil, if you want to respond, you make a video. It's as simple as that. You just including the tags will get you more viewership than you usually get, but you're too stupid to play the game and you fail because of it. The only game you're good at is successfully handling and manipulating your audience into giving over their money to you.
And that's the thing, you'll never see now I'm responding. Asmongold will never get this response because
no, I assure you he found the clip somewhere or something akin to it because he responded. I saw a clip of it from somebody else. You really underestimate the amount of people clipping you and how far it goes, Phil. And the funny thing, I don't know if it was before or after this, but Asmongold said that he was going to make more content on Phil. So buckle up, buckaroo. You're going to have a tough 2 weeks ahead of you, even though it's not impacting you financially at all because you're still hitting your goals. So really, you were spiraling over absolutely nothing that affects your business.
All he'll see is Detractor content. Will the detractors take this response fully and unedited? No. They'll edit it to make me look like and that's what he'll see next. So you see, it's a vicious cycle.
Nobody knows my sorrow.
This is why I don't care. This is why I don't care what Asmongold says, what Moist Critical says, what anyone says. I do my own thing. I'm happy. We have a good time together. That's what matters. I'm successful. It's all good. Don't need to worry about what these other people are constantly saying about me. To be frank, it doesn't affect me. It doesn't. I'm good. Well, guess what?
And that is the one statement where through all this, he is actually right because his pay pigs keep pigging out on him. So he's not affected whatsoever financially, but this does hit his ego really hard and he has a tough time taking it. All right, everybody, I hope you enjoyed this edition of 220 Rants. I will see you all next time. Please like and subscribe on your way out. This is Robust turning off the station, wishing you a wonderful 220 event day.
Jeff did a $5 tip. He says, I want to hear you say robust bourbon garlic flavor, like how you said robust urban garlic flavor. I never said robust urban garlic flavor. I said bourbon, not urban. How dare you? How dare you insinuate that I would say the word urban? I'm white. I can't say urban. It's offensive. You understand? That's how it works. Okay. All right, we're now up to $325 to support.